Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, July 21st. Good morning, everybody. I'm Scott Micklin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air, of course, in San Juan County, 103.3 FM over the air in Durango, Colorado, and, of course, everywhere streaming from our website, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are watching this visual radio program, streaming live to the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We're glad that you're with us this morning, everybody. Coming up today, my guest in the studio from Presbyterian Medical Services, Jill Adair, is going to be joining me in the next few moments talking about children's services. That's Head Start and Early Head Start, ramping up for the fall. So we'll be talking more about that in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Then, of course, later on this hour, as we do on Tuesdays, it is our Adopt a Pet Tuesday segment. So Amber Francisco is going to be joining me from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She'll be talking about some of the pets available from the shelter this week, including the cat that you see on the screen right now, whose name is, no lie, Cheddar Cheese. I'm talking about cheddar cheese coming up this morning as well. Mick S. takes us roving with the arts after the news at 9 a.m. He's playing more selections from Bach this morning on the program, so join us for that after the news next hour. And, of course, we remind you to connect with us on Twitter and on Instagram, in addition to our Facebook and YouTube pages as well. Here's the weather forecast. It's going to be mostly sunny for much of the day, but some increasing clouds this afternoon, and maybe a chance of a shower or isolated thunderstorm popping up. That's true for today and for the next several days. The high today, 95 in Farmington, 68 overnight, then cooler tomorrow with a high of only 82 on Wednesday, back up to 89 on Thursday, back down to 83 on Friday and Saturday, and cooler yet on Sunday with a high forecast of only 81 degrees. Well, let me turn to my guest who is here with me this morning from Presbyterian Medical Services. Jill Adair is here. She is a Children's Services Manager at PMS. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to KSJE.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. It's good to have you here. And, of course, disclaimer for our audience, when I ever have a guest from PMS on, I always have to admit that I'm also on the board of Presbyterian Medical Services, just so everybody knows my connection to the organization. But you are in charge of children's services, and so, as I mentioned, that is Head Start and Early Head Start, and so you've had some classes already over the summer, right, as you always do?
Right, so we do. We have quite a few classes that are typically running in the summer, and this year, of course, it's a different time.
Just you say 2020.
Just 2020. It's
there's
2020.
A big asterisk after 2020.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. So we actually did come back and open up about at least one classroom, essentially at majority of our facilities, and up to 3 at one of our larger facilities. So we're running at a reduced classroom size for the summer. We started back July 7th. And actually we will end on really this Friday for Early Head Start, which is our normal end date already. And then what we did, something different this year, is for our Head Start children, we did a summer program for them. So just because of the fact that, really from spring break, until July 7th, we didn't have them in session.
Right.
And so we decided to open up just for our kindergartner, or they're not kindergartners, they're getting ready to be in kindergarten.
Right.
So we opened up for them to make sure that, we're truly are getting them ready for kindergarten. So we ran a couple of sessions just for them.
And you, I imagine, like a lot of us, are watching what the schools do in the fall and what the state allows the schools to do in the fall.
Yes.
And you are taking your cues, too, from what the state will allow you to do, right? To open up for for children.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have to follow our state licensing guidelines, as well as our Office of Head Start regulations and guidelines.
That's federal, right?
That's federal, yes. And
See,
so
sitting on the board,
See,
I've gleaned a
that's good.
couple things, right?
Yay. So yeah, so we definitely have to follow both of those and just ensure that we're meeting all of those types of guidelines and regulations and all the screenings and the cleaning and the sanitizing and all of those. So we're working on plans, for next year. Right now we're looking at a start date of the 17th of August, so that is right around the corner. But we definitely want to make sure, because we are throughout all of San Juan County, so we want to make sure we're working with Farmington schools, Bloomfield schools, Kirtland, CCSD, but out in Kirtland.
Right.
And Aztec as well, just to make sure that, what are they doing, because that makes a big difference as to how are they going to operate, because we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of each of those communities. Even though we're one, they are still kind of individual communities in that fashion.
Sure.
So we want to work with them.
Right. And we were talking before we came on the air this morning, is as maybe parents get called back to work, that then means, what do they do with the kids if they
Right.
can't stay at home with the kids anymore?
Right.
And that's what Head Start has been, as well as educating the kids as well, but being a place where parents know their kids are going to be cared for and learning something and involved and all those different things that Head Start and Early Head Start does.
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the requirements for Early Head Start, which Early Head Start, again, is ages 6 weeks to 3. So for that program, the parents do need to be working. They need to be or coming to school.
Right.
And so, we really want to support those families. We do take in some families that are saying, I'm looking for a job, and then they do have guidelines as to how soon that can be and when they need to be able to get their job kind of thing, or enrolled in school. So those parents definitely would have a priority for sure. Children with disabilities have a little bit higher criteria weight as well, and so that's another big piece of us working with the public schools, because we do a lot of transition and working, collaborating with the public schools for those individuals with disabilities.
Right. And you mentioned parents have to be working or maybe going to school. Would going to school even virtually, now that maybe some classes are online, would that count as well?
That would absolutely. As long as they are enrolled, it doesn't matter if they're doing, because we have a lot of parents actually that do online, because often they work full-time
Sure.
jobs and go to school.
Right.
Absolutely. So for sure, on the Head Start side, the requirement is they don't have to be working. That has changed with Office of Head Start, so they no longer need to be working to qualify for that program. However, we will be looking at those parents that are working, because we want to be able to support them the most.
Right. Now, I know you don't have a lot of answers necessarily about how many classrooms are going to be open in the fall and how many kids you'll be able to accommodate and those types of things. That's still being discussed and waiting on state and federal regulations, right? And guidance.
And guidance. It is. So the state has kind of talked about some ratios and what we can look at for how many kids into a classroom. Doesn't mean that that's what we have to do. They're just saying this is what they're now allowing if we choose to do that. But we currently actually will be meeting later on this week, in fact, just to make sure where are we at for truly a start. Do we want to kind of do the hybrid? Do we want to do some children coming in to the center, some of them doing virtual? What is that going to really look like? And that's where that collaboration with the public schools is so important. So we want to ensure that piece happens, and then again taking in those guidelines, because there's still so much. We operate with all 4 different school districts, and they're all kind of looking at things a little bit differently.
Right.
So it makes it a little bit harder for us, because even though we are out in Bloomfield as an example, often those parents may work in Farmington. And so, and vice versa, we could have kids that come to Farmington, but they live in Bloomfield. And so they may have other children that go to Bloomfield schools, as an example. And so we have to really try to see what's going to be the best for them, because if each district has a different day, that they're going to say, oh, Monday we're not going to have kids, or Wednesday we're not going to have kids, or Friday we're not going to have kids. how is all that going to blend so that we can truly meet everyone's needs? Because that can kind of throw things off a little bit for that family.
Sure.
That may say if they're bringing their child to Farmington because they work in Farmington, but the rest of their kids are off on a Monday and we're saying we're off on Wednesday. So, yeah, it's
Right.
it's crazy. So we'll be able to get it figured out for
Good.
them for sure, and definitely want to survey the parents and see what are those needs.
Right.
What are the true community needs?
But I guess the word this morning is that if parents are thinking they're going to be called back to work or already have been called back to work and have used Head Start or need to use Head Start or early Head Start services and for their children, they should be applying
absolutely,
now
yes.
and getting on the list, or at least making those phone calls, right, to figure out, so that when you get your plans figured out, they're ready to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it is so important to come and pick up an application now. They can pick it up at any of our 7 locations. We are in Bloomfield and Aztec. We're up off the Nappy area. We're at our Cottonwood site's a little bit more difficult to find, but that's between Bloomfield and Farmington. Rosinante right now, they can't go to that facility. That facility's closed. Kirtland right now, they're closed. But definitely the best place to go to get an application is at our administration office, and that's at 608 Riley Avenue. It's here in Farmington. We're right off of Municipal. That's the best place to go. Pick up an application. It will tell you everything that you need and bring it back there. The sooner the better, because we are making those selections, and especially knowing that some of our class sizes will need to be reduced. So it's very, very important to get those in as soon as possible.
Right. And that address, Riley Avenue, it's literally across the street from City Hall.
It is, right across from City Hall.
Is my best way to describe it.
Right in front of Marion Oil, and I always, tell people right where, you used to go and pay your electric bill. I'm always trying to, right at the curve. And if you're coming down Municipal and you don't curve with the road, you'll run into our parking lot.
That's true. That's very true.
I tell everybody that all the time. If you don't curve with the street, you're going to run into the parking lot.
You'll hit the curb, but then you'll be in the parking lot.
Then you'll be in the parking lot, for sure.
But there you go. And so with all this going on, Jill Adair, you've had to, again, kind of have some different child-teacher ratios and things like that even over the summer, right? We were talking before we came on the air, and that was, again, those COVID-safe practices that we hear the governor talking about and others of trying to keep everybody safe and together, even as they do some of the things that kids want to do, like go out and play on the playground and come in for a snack or whatever the case may be, right?
Right. Absolutely. So a lot of things have really changed. One thing that I was really, really proud of that we did was our family style dining. Because today's day and age, we're so busy that we really don't have that opportunity sometimes at home, right, to teach the kids on sitting around the table to eat. Everyone's on the fly. So unfortunately, due to COVID, that's one thing we've had to kind of take away. So what that means is we still have the children come and sit around 6 feet apart around the table. We may have 2 tables with children instead of 1. And instead of the children, so family style dining is really having them teach themselves to be independent. So, at home you get your mashed potatoes, and we want to teach the children, put it out, serve themselves, put it on the plate. So unfortunately, we don't allow that right now because we don't want all the hands and everything. So that's one thing that has changed, to where now the teachers have to dish out all the plates and those types of things. We definitely have reduced our number of children in a classroom. We've reduced the number of children that are in the centers for play. In order to work on social distancing, we definitely have our groups of teaching staff. So we've assigned, up to almost 5 5 teachers into a classroom that we kind of can rotate through as we need to, and so then those that group setting always is there. So we're not blending groups, we're not blending one person from another area coming in, to kind of keep that, again, secure and safe. We also utilized a company called Stay Clean. So that's kind of new to our area, and so he actually came through and they sanitized all of my facilities and classrooms that I opened. And so that was really, really nice. They totally did that, all of our playground equipment, everything in that fashion. Also, one of the other new things is that anytime kids go outside to play, you have to sanitize the playground. So we've really worked hard right now for the summer to ensure that those groups of children are only utilizing one playground at a time. So again, we're not mixing that, but then we do still have to sanitize that playground after each use.
Right. And that's part of I guess, the guidelines,
It
right?
is,
From
absolutely.
the state and federal governments
It
about keeping kids in the same group of kids, whereas maybe before they could all go out and mix and mingle and play
Right.
with other classrooms and other kids from other teachers and things
Right.
like that. But these days, if I'm in a class with one teacher, that's the class that I go out to the playground with and come back with and in the same room.
Absolutely. Yes, so they can't go to a cafeteria. So one of my centers, we had a cafeteria, so we can't have them go there to eat. We used to have maybe 3 classrooms outside. We can't do that anymore. It's truly just the one class going out. And again, keeping with those same groups, so it makes it difficult, but we're definitely, following the child care licensing regulations and as well as our state guidelines from the governor and Office of Head Start.
Right. And so so this is what's been going over the summer at a kind of a smaller capacity,
Right.
and then you'll be adding to that a little bit in the fall. At least that's your plans.
That's my plan. So our plan right now is, as we're taking in applications, as we're trying to build our classrooms, we want to survey the parents so that we can know, what are the needs, and what will that look like, so that we can kind of come up with a little bit better plan for sure in that fashion. But we will be operating, a lot more classrooms than we are right now.
And of course, before all this, or as all this was kind of developing, we heard a lot about early childhood education. The state was talking about a lot more money for programs and things like that. And so, I think it's getting a lot more attention, the work that you and your teachers are doing around the state.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing. I hear a lot now people saying, "Oh my gosh, these poor teachers! I don't know how they do it." And it's, so in that piece, that's really good.
Yes.
And from March on, it's amazing to see the creativity that our teachers have had to do. I've been so proud of them because they really have had to think outside the box of what can we do to teach and learn technology, because that's, that changes all the time. And for them
And sometimes
to
it works, and sometimes it doesn't work like it's supposed to work. That's
absolutely,
true.
Absolutely. And not everybody has the fancy camera, and everybody have internet and all that. So it's really they've had to be so creative, because we have maintained staying engaged with our families. And so definitely for up to 2 to 3 times a week, there's engagement with them of some form, whether it's a phone call, whether it is that they're getting onto a Zoom, and we're actually doing kind of a class over the internet in that fashion. So, and it's been really fun and neat to see my staff bring in, what's in their environment. We have some that live out on farms, and so to bring in their animals, and it's been really, really nice, and that's something that I've been really, really proud of them.
Very cool. And you mentioned that maybe some of these classes might be virtual and things like that. And for the age of your kids in these programs, some folks may be wondering how you can do that with
right.
little early Head Start kids, right?
Mm-hmm. So it is difficult. So some things that we've done is sit around and do still our circle time, and definitely on reading stories, doing art activities. So if there are items that the children would typically do in a classroom, so art's what's coming to mind right now.
Sure.
We would make sure that we would have those supplies, and we do deliveries every week, excuse me. And then, because we also provide all diapers and wipes to our families, we still did that. So we would actually, before we went back into session, we made sure every week we delivered diapers to the families. So those types of things would begin again to those families that aren't coming to our center. We would still provide the diapers to them. We didn't do the wipes because that the state Office of Head Start was like, that may not be the best idea.
Right.
Let's just, right now, just make sure you're providing the diapers to them. But any type of supplies that are needed, those are things that we would deliver, so that whenever they would have the class, they were able to do them together, or they did it on their own. We had the class, and then we kind of did like a show and tell kind of thing.
Right. And now I was looking at your Facebook page earlier this morning, because Presbyterian Medical Services has a Children's Services Facebook page.
Yes.
And I noticed a lot of videos of some do-at-home projects and art things and other things that families could be doing, right? And
Right.
that you don't even have to be enrolled necessarily. That's free for everybody.
Yeah,
That's Facebook.
absolutely. And we also have a YouTube page. So
Okay.
PMS has a YouTube page. And so we've also seen that throughout all of our other children's services programs that are throughout the state, they've been uploading as well to those to our YouTube page. And so there are some wonderful activities out there. Again, it amazes me, the creativity.
Right. But for parents who have been at home with the kids wondering, maybe because summer camps are off and things like that they would normally do with the
Right.
kids can't be done, some great ideas.
Absolutely, absolutely. Some wonderful art activity and things that, again, they're trying to pull what's just around the house. What are some items that you already have that you can pull together to do?
Right. Right. Now, talk to me a little bit about the idea with Head Start and Early Head Start of being able to get kids engaged and get them ready for school and kind of introducing some of these concepts that they're going to be seeing and hearing about in kindergarten. I mean, again, I know the data is out there
Right.
that shows for many, or if not all of these kids, they really do get a better start when they hit the ground running, if you will,
Right.
when they get to kindergarten.
Sure. So we utilize creative curriculum. So that's one of our main focuses, is actually utilizing creative curriculum as well as our Teaching Strategies Gold, which is an assessment tool. And we actually utilize that creative curriculum and our Teaching Strategies Gold all the way back to those kids that come in when they're 6 weeks of age. So everybody from 6 weeks to 5, they utilize the same curriculum. Of course, it's adapted to their age range. So what we decided to do for these kids that are our 4-year-olds that would be transitioning out for the summer is that we have a lesson within our creative curriculum called Getting Ready for Kindergarten. And so that's just been the main focus, which is truly doing all the alphabets, the numbers and colors and all of those types of things, amongst many other fun activities, to make sure to keep them up to par to get ready for kindergarten. So that session ends on the 31st. So we had them kind of go an extra week. So typically, prior to COVID, they would have been done in May. So we did, extend it for those children. But essentially, moving on, what we do for all of our kids is, again, we utilize creative curriculum. We do Teaching Strategies Gold. We also use all sorts of screenings, developmental screenings, health screenings. We want to, again, make sure that the kids are on track. And if they need assistance, then we work really close with the public schools. And if we need to make a referral to their, EPO department or something like that, we're able to do that. I have a mental health and disability specialist. We have a health and nutrition coordinator. We have a family engagement coordinator. And so they work with all of our families, all of the children, the teachers, to make sure, again, what support do they need to make sure that we are truly getting them ready for kindergarten.
And so you are planning to open some of your classrooms back up in August on the 17th, you were saying.
On the 17th, yes.
And waiting for more kind of guidance from the school districts and the state and the feds about what's allowed, how many kids at one time are allowed, and all those different types of numbers and criteria, right?
We are, and again, to make sure what are the public schools doing, because we share children, again, with our kiddos with disabilities, we share with them. We also have 2 of our facilities that we actually get food from their schools. So that's a big part. We are out in Kirtland and in Aztec, and we actually have contracts with those public schools, and so they cook for us and we get their food. So if they're not operating or on those days, I have to really pay attention to that.
Right. And so all that's going to be worked out.
All that's going to be worked out hopefully
in the
this
next few weeks,
yes, right? Yes, because the 17th's right around the corner.
It is coming. That's very true. So we just have a couple of minutes remaining this morning, Jill Adair. Okay. So for folks who want more information, to find out more of what you can offer or what's available, what's the best way for them to do that?
So
to give you a
call? Best thing, yes. So they can call our facility, 505-326-6434, or they can come by at 608 Riley Avenue. They can also go to any one of our facilities. So again, we are up off of the Nappy. That's at our Little Feet site, is up off of the Nappy area. We are out in Aztec, and we're at 805 Maddox out in Aztec. We are out in Bloomfield at Charlie Y. Brown facility there. There's 2 portables there. So that's out in Bloomfield. Of course, our Farmington at 900 South Carlton site. Those are my 4 main sites that are open right now. So I do have 3 other sites that are not open, but the best thing to do if they want to go to any of those sites, if they're in those communities, and or come to 608 Riley Avenue, do be prepared. You must be wearing a mask. You will be asked to have your temperature taken, and again, you can just come in and say, I'm here just to pick up an application. They'll do a quick temp check on you, and then you can leave. Come back with all of those documents, drop them off as soon as you can, because we are making selections.
Okay, very good. And and again, the numbers are going to be probably lower than they normally would be in a regular year.
Yes. They probably will be. I think right now for our early Head Start, it may not be as low, but it's the Head Start aspect, and we are looking at doing some virtual as well as truly in class sessions. We will be operating one way or another. I think the main thing is knowing we're not 100% sure to know what is that really going to look like as of today.
Right. And again, there's usually little to no cost for these services, right? I mean, you always tell me,
yeah,
right?
Totally free. So again, we provide the diapers, we provide the wipes, we provide formula, we provide breakfast, lunch, and a snack. We also do, again, all the screenings. We do hearing screenings, vision screenings. We take children that have disabilities. We take children that have food allergies. And any or medical issues and concerns, definitely feel free to come and fill out an application. We do look at income, but there's often people think, oh, I'm not going to qualify. You would be surprised. So don't let that deter you, away. Definitely please come fill out an application and get that in as soon as you can. Again, no cost at all for our service.
All right. Repeat that phone number one more time before we wrap it up today.
505-326-6434.
All right. Very good. Jill Adair, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. It's always great to see you. That's Jill Adair from Presbyterian Medical Services, their Children's Services Manager, my guest here on KSJE. And I'll be back with more in just a moment, everybody. The time right now is coming up on 8:37.
Pay inequality exists for influencers too, and one Instagram account is exposing it. From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech. I'm Jack Stewart in for Molly Wood.
Marketplace Tech is supported by Home Advisor, helping homeowners find the right pros for their home projects. Homeowners can now see upfront pricing, book appointments, and pay for over 100 projects with the Home Advisor app.
How much are you paid? It's always an awkward conversation to have, but Adeswa Ajayi is asking just that of social media influencers. They can have followings of tens or hundreds of thousands, and companies will pay them for promotions. But Ajayi started the Instagram account Influencer Pay Gap to highlight the fact that black influencers are routinely paid less than white influencers.